Fellow Toastmasters, now is the exciting time when we can actually begin the International Speech Contest part of our get-together today. But first of all, what I'd like to do is ask everyone, please, let's all give our full attention to the speakers during their presentation. Really try to limit the distractions. We'll have a minute of silence, of course, between each speaker to allow the judges to mark their ballots, and another indefinite amount of silence after all the speakers are done, so that we can get the judges to tally the ballots and the votes to be counted, of course. Entering and leaving the room, we'd like to please discourage also during the presentations. And oh yes, please let's make certain again that all cell phones, pagers, watches, anything that will distract the speakers be turned off right now. So let's move right ahead, and I want to introduce the speakers today. The speaking order is number 1, contestant Daniel Ferguson. The title of his speech is...
Wait till he introduces the title.
Oh, I thought the judges wanted everybody in order right
well,
now.
Well, don't say the title.
Thank you. Contestant number 2 is Bruce Denfeld. Oops, I'm sorry, Delfeld.
Okay.
Sorry, Bruce. And Area 33 contestant is Sheila Rankin. So our first contestant will be Daniel Ferguson from WBCP Toastmasters. The title of his speech is WIN. Please welcome Daniel Ferguson.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. How many people here like to win? Okay, bunch of hands, I like that. How many people here like to lose? That's a different speech, okay. As you looked around, everyone in here likes to win, but not everyone here has what it takes to want to win. In your career, in life, in relationships. So today I'm going to speak to you all about my 3-step process on WIN. Step 1, you have to want it, the W, you have to want it. You have to want to go the extra mile. You've got to strive and drive to be the best. When I was in college, or once I graduated from college, I tried out for the NFL. I went to UNC Chapel Hill, who, by the way, is going to win the national championship. Anybody who watches college basketball. Go Tar Heels, they play this afternoon. Watch them on CBS. But anyway, when I graduated from UNC, I tried out for the NFL. Never played football a day in my life, but I knew that I wanted to be a professional athlete. I knew that my strive and drive to be the best meant that I had to be in the gym and work that much harder. I had a month and a half to train for the NFL, which is not that much time at all, but in my pursuit to want it, in my pursuit to be the best, I added about 4 inches to my vertical leap. I went from bench pressing 190 pounds to 250 pounds. Those that know about football, the 40-yard dash, I started off with a 4.6 second untrained 40, dropped it down to a 4.4 second 40-yard dash, which to me was great. In a month and a half, that was phenomenal. And in the shuttle run, where you pretty much just run back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, I had the time that they were looking for. So in my strive and drive to be the best, I put that work in to make it at that next level, or to at least be competitive at that next level. So as you're sitting here, think about what you're doing in your current life, how you're enlarging your brain, as we already heard about, to make sure that you're doing what you have to do. You're striving and driving to want to get to that next level. Think about that. Think about what you're doing. Think about how you're doing it. Because when you think about that, that takes you to the next step, the I. You have to ideate it. You have to imagine where you want to be. Stephen Covey says to begin with the end in mind in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And as you begin with the end in mind, you know where you want to go, and in essence, working backwards to make sure that what you're doing gets you there, regardless of your age, regardless of your background, regardless of where you're from. If you think about this, if you heard with Muhammad Ali, he has a lot of famous quotes out there. One of his big quotes was, "The person without imagination has no wings." The person without imagination has no wings, which means they can't get to their destination because they can't see it. They haven't thought about where they want to be. They haven't thought about where they want to end up and how they want to get there. I'm a big basketball fan. Michael Jordan went to Carolina. Also, another plug for Carolina. He, by far, for me, is the best basketball player to play the game. A lot of people will agree with me with that. And I guarantee you, he imagined himself as being the greatest. He imagined himself as being the best. So he got to the gym early and left late because he had to get that work ethic in, so that his imagination matched what he wanted. Thomas Edison inventing the light bulb. He had to imagine it first. George Washington Carver, he found 105 ways to use the peanut in recipes. 100 ways to use the peanut in other industrial activities. He had to imagine it first. The brain, it's a 3-pound, huge machine that if we imagine, we can make it happen. Because as we're imagining it, we're matching it with how we want it, the work ethic, going above and beyond to get to that next level. And that takes us to step number 3. And you have to name it. You have to name it. Speak it into existence. With Muhammad Ali, he would say, I am the greatest. I am the greatest. He wasn't talking to us. He wasn't talking to his competitor that he's in the ring with. He was talking to himself. That's that self-talk to make sure that what you're saying is matching up with what you ideate, what you imagine, and also with what you want. I believe in the Word of God, and the Word says that when God spoke, things came into existence. Since we're made in His image, that means when we speak, we've got that same ability. And it also means that when you speak, it's pretty much just throwing it into the atmosphere, letting the atmosphere take it, and it matches with your imagination and with what you want and that work ethic, and it shows that anything is possible. It shows that anything is achievable as long as you want it, you can ideate it, imagine it, and you can name it. This has been Daniel Ferguson letting you know that words bring life. Speak them into existence. In Him, Daniel speaks. Now, W-I-N. Want it, ideate it, imagine it, and name it. Madam Toastmaster.
Our second speaker today will be...
1 minute of
1 minute.
silence.
Oh, I'm so very sorry. I told you Michelle should have done this. I did.